So President Trump is not a smart person. He's not very intellectually curious, doesn't really have much of an extended vocabulary or a desire to learn new words, learn new things, right? He learned what he learned about business, which isn't very much, and he's content. Now, the newest story on this unfolding saga of our really dumb president comes from HuffPost, and they talked about how President Trump had no idea what a memorandum of understanding was when it comes to the governmental context versus business. So, Robert Lighthizer, America's chief negotiator, decided that he would drop that from the official proceedings. So they're no longer going to say memorandum of understanding, even though it is a legal term, and I'm going to explain. Also, they could make President Trump feel a little bit better about himself. Now, this started when Trump was asked by a reporter how long memorandums of understanding being negotiated with China over the trade disputes would last. And here was his answer.
I think the MOU is going to be very short term. No, we expect to go into. I don't like MOUs because they don't mean anything. To me, they don't mean anything. I think you're better off just going into a document. I was never a fan of an MOU.
So an MOU is a contract. It's the way trade agreements are generally used. People refer to it like it's a term sheet. It's not a term sheet. It's an actual contract between the two parties. Yes. A memorandum of understanding is a binding agreement between two people. And that's what we're talking about. It's detailed. It covers everything in great detail. It's just called a memorandum of understanding. It's a legal term. It's a contract.
By the way, I disagree. I think that a memorandum of understanding is not a contract to the extent that we want. We're doing a memorandum of understanding that will be put into a final contract, I assume. But to me, the final contract is really the thing, Bob, and I think you mean that too, is really the thing that means something. A memorandum of understanding is exactly that. It's a memorandum of what our understanding is. But to me, the contract is, the real question is, Bob, so we do a memorandum of understanding, which frankly, you could do or not do. I don't care if you do it or not. To me, it doesn't mean very much. But if you do a memorandum, how long will it take to put that into a final binding contract?
What? From now on, we're not using the word memorandum of understanding anymore. We're going to use the term trade agreement, all right?
Okay.
Right.
No more. We'll never use the term agreement. We'll have the same document. It's going to be called a trade agreement. We're never going to use MOU again.
A memorandum of understanding. It's a memorandum of what our understanding is. And you know what? Lighthizer's like, okay, we're dealing with a moron, so we're just going to drop that. It is now a trade agreement. Everybody good? Great. Now we can actually do things. Wow. Okay, that's awesome. Here's the thing. He is actually right. Lighthizer is. It is a binding contract. Now, in business, there's look, an MOU in business and MOU in international affairs is actually different. Let me explain. An MOU, or memorandum of understanding, is a non-binding agreement in business between two or more parties outlining the terms and details of an understanding, including each party's requirements and responsibilities. An MOU, in the business context, is often the first stage in the formation of a formal contract. Now, when it comes to international affairs, for example, trade between two countries, then it is a binding contract. So the president was very confused about this because, look, he doesn't read anything. He never really bothered to learn about what's in the job, the difference between business and government. He's a one-pager kind of guy. And then he gets upset, of course, when he doesn't know what's going on. You know what? I disagree. I disagree with that. Really? You disagree with your trade guy who obviously knows more than you. Okay, whatever. And in this trade, guy's like, okay, yeah, sure, we're just going to drop that. We're going to make him happy, whatever, right? So this tells me a couple of things. One, Lighthizer knows he's dealing with a moron. And so he's like, you know what? I'm just going to change this, and I'm going to, make it easier for the baby to understand, and then we can move on. Because I'm not going to sit here and argue with him, because we know ultimately it's futile. He's never going to understand. He's never going to want to understand. Moving on. Let's go. So Now, $5 says when he's actually doing negotiations without Trump present because he's doing executive time in his office, watching Fox News, eating cheeseburgers, and live tweeting, they're going to call it a memorandum of understanding because that is the correct terminology in this case. But they're not going to do it in front of Trump anymore because, as you just saw, he's going to embarrass himself. I mean, you saw one of the guys was actually laughing at him on the Chinese side. The Chinese are literally laughing at us. And look, I'm not even against some of his moves on trade, right? I think backing out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership was actually a smart thing to do because there were some things about that deal that I did not like. Now, if we were to get somebody competent in there that didn't just put corporations above the well-being of nation states and made a better deal, well, of course, we have to make deals with, some of these Asian countries, these trade deals. But we want those trade deals to actually help both those countries and the United States and not just a handful of the wealthy elite, right? So I'm not against that. But the thing is, I also don't agree with some of the tariffs, though, that President Trump has put on. Because, look, while I agree there are some instances in which tariffs do work, he doesn't understand how to effectively use them. He's like the Oprah of tariffs. You get a tariff, you get a tariff. Yeah, everybody gets a tariff. Now give me everything that I want, and I'm going to go eat some cheeseburgers. He's not smart. He is painfully dumb. And it's super, super obvious to the entire world. And of course, to his staff, where they know, like, if you want to get anywhere with Trump, you got to dumb things down. I cannot wait for the day that we actually have an adult in charge again. Things are going to be so different. So different. Can't wait. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.